Welcome to Sidetracked, your unofficial agency of record. I'm Shane.
And I'm Emily, and we help run Trek, a tech-driven, full-service creative agency based in Rockford, Illinois.
Here on the podcast, we tackle our clients' biggest marketing challenges. We reveal what's worked for us and dig into real-life case studies and practical strategies you can put to work today.
Curiosity is our compass, which is why we always start with a question. Today, we're celebrating Trek's 30th anniversary, and we also have some big news. So your big question is probably, what's the news? And here to help us answer that question and also celebrate this milestone, we have our original founder and CEO, Laura Bennett. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Shane. Hi, Emily.
Welcome back to the pod.
Thanks
so
for inviting me back.
Good to have you. So today, October 1st, 2025, is Trek's 30th anniversary. Very exciting. So take us back to 1995. What led you to start this company in the first place?
Well, it actually, the beginning was probably 1994. I was managing a full-service creative department at a biotech firm in Rockford. And Emily's dad, MJ, was our creative director. And he and I attended a conference in Chicago about this new thing called the World Wide Web. And we left there so pumped about, having the opportunity, hopefully, to work with this new communication technology. And we took it back to our management group, and they said, "You want to do what?" And no way you're spending our company money on that newfangled web thing. So we were still excited, and we were intent to be part of this revolution, which we knew it was going to be. So we decided, we took on two business partners and decided to trek out into what we knew was the wild, wild west, and start our own marketing technology company. We opened the doors in October of 1995 and never looked back.
I feel like you heard that a lot. Like in a lot of your stories, there's always the people asking you what? Why would you do that? Or you want to do what? And it was always just we're going to do it. We're going to figure it out.
We got that a lot. You left a good job to do that. Weren't you worried about the security of your family? What are you doing? What about health insurance? And, it was a decision that wasn't just among like myself and MJ and Louise and Jeff at the time. It was a decision that we worked through with our families because everybody knew that it was going to affect, the financial aspects of a family, the amount of time ultimately that we were going to be able to spend at home while you're getting a new business up and running. So it was truly a family decision at the time, and we had the commitments and from our spouses and families, and we said, "Yep, let's do it."
So tell us about the name. Who came up with the name? Where did it come from? Why the second K?
Why the second K? Well, the second K was not originally there. And when we were putting together our business plan, the name actually that we had on it was Trek Design, one word, with one K. And after we got our business plan completed and started talking to bankers and attorneys, there were some reasons.
This business plan?
That business plan, that is it.
It is
You have it?
my gosh.
Word, Trek Design Group.
Design Group. Absolutely.
I've never seen that.
Just had that ace. I had to play at the right moment,
That's amazing. There's a business plan. There's a competitive analysis. There's a cash flow analysis. We put together the complete thing, took it to a banker and got financing. Our banker was this young entrepreneur type himself and took it to his management, and they were probably like, "You want to loan money to what? To
You
who?
want to do what?
Yeah, but he was able to get it through, and part of it was we did put a lot of effort into that business plan, and it made sense that the financial prove out made sense. So that's what we started with, Trek Design, and there were some legal issues around the use of that, so we couldn't use it. So then we went to Trek, and then obviously there's a bike. Couldn't use that, so we added a K and it just became Trek Incorporated. So it wasn't our first choice, but it was what we landed on and what everybody was comfortable with, and it has really worked well for us because it does actually take us back into the story of what a Trek it actually was back in 1995.
A major journey, setting
It
out
was.
on an unknown path.
It was. It totally was.
Tell
And
us about the
every
first year. Was it super successful right away, or like how long did it take to really get the business up and running?
It took about a day to get the business up and running.
Wow.
Wow.
what do
Well,
you
there's a
do in that
story.
day?
What are you doing that day? Well, we built a website for ourselves.
Okay.
And literally in 24 hours built a website for ourselves. We were able to start hitting the ground running because the company, the biotech company that we had left, gave us their business. So
Mm.
we had that from day one, and it kind of helped set a financial foundation for us.
So
So
so you were leading a creative group at this place. You gave them your notice, and then on the way out, you said, how about you still pay me to do this? But I'm not an employee anymore. So you brought
kind of
like,
took guts, didn't it?
yeah, it did. I'm leaving, but you should keep paying me
You should
just
keep
as in
paying
my
me.
new business. Like yeah,
Well, yeah,
bold.
well, it was bold, but and the business with them, the partnership with them didn't last that long. It lasted long enough for them to recreate what we had built internally. So it was good for them and good for us. Got us
Mm.
started and kept them going. And ultimately, we transitioned the business back internally for them, but gave us the
Nice.
opportunity, to build our own client base.
With the
Mm.
familiar people.
Right, right. So we had cash flow from day one. So we were lucky in that respect.
Wow.
So the business has evolved a lot over the last 30 years. And we were talking about this being a journey. What do you think are some of the major milestones on this journey up to this point?
Oh, there are many. There are the obvious ones, like when we hit so many employee numbers, like 20 employees. When we did our first million, when we did our second million, things like that. Those things don't stand out to me probably as much as some of the huge evolutionary, maybe societal and financial changes that happened along the way that we addressed, we took on, we succeeded, we came out, I think, probably better on the other side. And but the first one I would say would be when we hired our first employee, which was 3 months into the business, I think. And that's when we all said, wow, we kind of have to start adulting with this business because we're taking on the responsibility of another person and that person's family. So the decisions we make are going to affect people outside of us. So that was huge. And that was a big change in how the four of us at the time who owned the company looked at things. We had to look at things outside of ourselves.
Mm.
I think a second one would be probably the dot-com bust. Prior to that, it was pretty easy. Business walked in the door because we were unique. We were one of the only, ad agencies that were doing these great websites, were doing e-commerce sites, could handle and act as a partner for big companies, and everything they needed that related to their traditional marketing and all of their internet and digital and web stuff. So walked in the door after the dot-com bust. Business started to dry up, and not for the same reason, but for several other reasons locally. A lot of the big companies in Rockford, they moved their headquarters out of Illinois. So out of Rockford. And some of the really large companies that we had been working with as full service marketing partners, we got in the door, I got our foot in the door with a website, but ultimately ended up doing full service marketing for a lot of large companies. Headquarters moved. And we had to turn our production machine into a sales machine. So we had to start thinking about how we take our expertise in marketing and do it for ourselves. And not only that, we had to expand our geographic footprint. So we knew that Rockford and Northern Illinois was not going to be was not going to provide enough business opportunity for us to keep our business going and to grow and give our team the kind of opportunities they deserved. So we expanded nationally at that point, and that I think probably was one of the biggest milestones of the company history. And a lot
Mm.
of the things we do today were, born from that need to market ourselves and do the kinds of things that we were consulting with our clients about doing.
So a
Um,
scary moment, a
it was a scary
challenging
moment.
moment,
It
but it
was.
ended up being a real turning point for the business,
It
taking
did.
things national.
That was
Hmm.
it. And had it not happened that way, from the dot-com bust and some of the things that were happening in the economy, I don't know where the business would be today. We still do work locally. We partner with more companies that we choose are a fit for them and us. It's not a big part of our business, but it still is an important part of our business. And I would say one more milestone would probably, you have to mention COVID, uh, because it was a big challenge. It changed the way businesses, including ours, did business. It changed the way employees worked. And it changed the way, after the fact, employees expect to work. So I don't think we're on the other side of that yet, but that is going to be a milestone we're going to look back on and say it changed a lot. 10 years from now, we're going to say it changed a lot about
And for
Trek.
our clients.
For sure. And, we had delved into marketing automation many, many years ago as HubSpot partners. But the acceptance among business to business, especially clients, became much higher during the COVID years because they had to learn how to sell electronically, digitally,
Mhm.
because they couldn't go out face to face. There were no trade shows. We were doing virtual trade shows, and because of our background and the fact that we all along had evolved as both a traditional and digital agency, we were able to help our clients make that transition.
We
Mhm.
also, during that time, I think, because we're positioned in prioritizing print and, like you're saying, more traditional channels too, there was also in that time, because everything was so digital for many people, there was more of a demand for print as well to feel that connection to people. So it was kind of like also a sweet spot for us from like, we can help you
Right,
regardless of where you need to push,
Right.
we were like, yeah,
Mhm.
positioned right there. I think something else I hear you
yeah,
say often is like, it was another, why would you do that? Or you're doing what moments was we
right.
invested in like physical space. Like right, right as COVID was happening.
Uh-huh.
Yes,
Which
we did a build out.
I
We did a
still
build out.
think that is like it is and was the right decision because we are so creative and collaborative. But that was another moment I think you heard a lot of like, "You're doing what?"
Yes. We did a build out, and the plan was to move into our new space on March 15th of 2020. And everything shut down. But again, we had learned over the course of 25 years at that point how to pivot, how to flex, how to make sure when things aren't put in front of you exactly the way they need to be, you just get the job done. And we did it. And that's where we're at today. Still with this beautiful space, and still working collaboratively, but um, in a little bit more of a flexible way, because of the way the workforce expectations have changed, I think.
We've always had some cool offices, and we've always been pretty flexible,
Oh.
I feel like, in
Hmm. Yeah.
work-life balance, but our office spaces have
The
always been pretty cool.
offices. Okay, so Emily, what do you remember from the very first office?
I remember I had to climb a million stairs to get to the top, and I was always so scared going down them because I thought that I would fall, and one time I did slip down some, so I was always nervous. I wouldn't like it was just I thought that, like, you don't go anywhere near the stairs because it's a safety hazard. My dad was probably telling me that over and over, so it
Hmm.
was probably just, like, ingrained in my head. And then the second thing I remember was, the the sitting in the conference room with a beautiful clear table that had, like, art pillars and a big TV, which was actually a screen, playing Monopoly. There was Monopoly games that had just come out. And the only time I would ever drink Pepsi was at the track office, which I don't know why there was always Pepsi because my dad was a Coke guy. So it was always a treat because I was like, oh, Pepsi. I never get to have Pepsi. So I'd drink a Pepsi, play Monopoly in the office. Good
I
times.
remember Monopoly too.
You?
Monopoly on CD-ROM and the
Yes.
Game of Life on CD-ROM. I had so much fun playing computer games on that gigantic screen, sitting at that glass table.
We had clients that would actually we were one of the first companies, if not the first, in Rockford to actually have a T1 line coming into our office. So we got high speed internet back in 1995. So we had this big screen TV, biggest anybody had ever seen. Not, it's small by today's standards. But we had clients that would just come in and play.
Mm.
We had the game You Don't Know Jack up, and we had clients that would just say, "Can we come in over lunch and just play some games?" And yeah, so that was a way to build business too, I guess.
So, what are some lessons that you've learned from 30 years of running a business? Give us your advice.
Oh, okay, wow, okay. I would say, um, trust your gut. Um, but continually verify it's in a good state. So
Hmm.
the gut is really important. But you always need to verify with people you trust that it's the right thing to do. But gut instinct, I think, is very, very important, and you have to listen to it sometimes, a lot of times. Um, I think, and this is me personally, because I can be stubborn. Admit when you're wrong,
Mhm.
and flex to show you that you admit that you're wrong and you need to do something different. So that has been always really important, and something maybe that's difficult for me being stubborn as I am. And then I think from there, the third thing is a lesson I've learned is to avoid stubbornly hanging on to old school, um, when it doesn't always work for new age workplaces. And Shane and Emily, you get that, I know, because I will always say, well, that's not the way we used to do it, and it worked. But this is a new age. This is a new way. It's a new kind of doing business. It's a new kind of workforce that has different outlooks on what they expect out of their place of employment, their professional growth, and their personal growth. And we have to acknowledge that.
Hmm. What are some marketing maxims that you live by that have held up over the decades?
The biggest one is launch and learn, and we still use it
Yep.
because you as a company, we and our clients can get bogged down in the what if it doesn't work. And so our launch and learn strategy is let's put something out there faster than maybe you typically would, not fully tested like you typically would, but in a smaller way, and put it out there, launch it, learn from what worked, what didn't, and go forward with what worked. So I think that was true back in 1995, and I think it's true today.
Hmm. That's still what we would do for any lead nurturing campaign, ad campaign. It's always launch and learn, constantly test.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I think that the second one might be as a company, or as we have told our clients that know who you are and be who you are. And if you try to be something you're not, if you try to market as something you're not, it will not be effective. Know who you are and be who you are.
Mm, good advice.
I like that. Well, this has been a really good opportunity to look back, go down memory lane for a little bit. Um, but I'm sure many people are still asking, you dangled this big news in front of us at the beginning of this podcast, and you haven't told us what this big news is. So, Laura, what's the big
Oh,
news?
I get to tell the big news.
Tell the people the news.
Tell the people the news. I am so proud and so honored to be able to, on December 31st, hand over the reins and ownership of Trek to Shane and Emily. And I am so looking forward to what their evolution is going to be over the next 30 years. So,
Ooh.
congratulations, ladies. And like I said, I'm so proud of you. It's so earned, and you guys are going to do an amazing job.
Oh,
Big
Thank
shoes
you.
to fill.
yeah. It is very exciting. It is also
Mhm.
feels right.
Feels right to
Given
me.
that we've always been here, since
Mhm.
the beginning. Shane and I were a part of the Trek family by extension through you and my dad.
Dragged along at the beginning, maybe, but
For some
happy
of
to be
us,
here.
yeah. And now being here and working here, being a part of what you've built, and then taking over is very humbling.
It's a sometimes I call it a quirky little agency. That's kind of how I think of it. It's a really
Mhm.
special agency. I think that there aren't many agencies left like Trek because the agencies that came up in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s that were trying to do the same thing that Trek was trying to do, many of them ended up selling off to much bigger companies, selling off to private equity, or going fully digital. And we haven't done that. We're an independent, full service agency. And I think it makes us really unique today. So I'm very excited about the future of Trek. I think it's not going to look that much different. We're going to keep doing what we're doing, keep learning, of course, keep evolving. But a lot of what we're doing is working and is right because you have fine-tuned it over these last 30 years. So we're gonna try to
Yes, well,
continue your legacy.
you have seen the mistakes and you have seen the successes, and you will be able to leverage the best of what was built and and have some amazing successes. I can't wait to watch it.
Mm. I'm sure we'll make our own mistakes too. But yes,
Oh,
we
for
are very
sure.
lucky because we can learn from many of the ones that we saw along the way.
Yeah, and that is my favorite. I don't know if it's marketing advice or if it's your life lesson or the thing that you always tell me, which, you've created this environment where it's okay to fail because you launch in learning. Like sometimes that means you fail. Um, and that is it at the end of the day, it's just marketing. Like we take it very seriously, obviously. But it's okay. Mistakes happen and they will happen again. It's not the
Mhm.
end of the world. And that's something that I've internalized is like, it's okay. A mistake happens. And so we
Mhm.
will make our own mistakes and it will be okay. The world will go on.
That's how we grow. That's how we learn.
Mhm.
Sometimes, a mistake teaches you just what you don't want to do or what's not right for you. And yeah. Mm.
Yeah,
Well, it's not a mistake unless you learn from it.
There you go.
that's a good summary.
And those are my parting words.
So
uh,
practically, when this transition happens, then Shane, talk about what that looks like. You said not much is going to change. What does that mean? What are the things that
um,
what it's going to look like?
yeah. Okay, so mom, you will retire on December 31st, 2025. And January 1, 2026, Emily, you will be CEO of this company. I will be COO of this company.
We were built on the pillars of strong creative, strong technical, and collaboration, with like forward thinking about technology and the way that it helps you communicate. And that is not changing. Who we
Mhm.
are, what has been built is not changing. And we are committed to in person collaboration in Rockford. So our office is going to stay the same. um, Shane and I are remote, but we are coming back often. And we love where we're from, and we're gonna keep it that way.
Mm.
So, Shane, what are you most excited about? January 1st, walk in the door. You mean turn on your laptop for you?
What am I most excited about on January 1st? I think I'm most excited about I have this vision for the future of our team that we start working as one team. We have these pods and we have different teams set up right now, and each team has a pretty strong identity. Um, this is going to take a while, but I want to get us to a place where we identify as one team and not four separate teams. So I'm excited to try to make that happen. That's not an overnight shift. Um, what else am I excited? What are you excited about, Emily?
I think it's the same. It's less about like a specific thing or something that will change and more about like my idea for the future and creating or just, adapting our client relationships and our internal relationships. And my word that I always come back to, and Shane's heard me say this a million times at this point, is like thriving. So, like asking ourselves, like, are we thriving in this relationship internally or externally? And coming to a place where we're truly supporting one another, like you're saying, Shane, and doing the best work possible. Because I believe if each individual is thriving, then the work is just automatically better. Clients are happier, and then in the reverse, if clients if the client fit isn't good for us and the relationship isn't thriving that way, then I feel like it gives us the confidence to say like it's time to walk away. This might be the "you're doing what" moment, for us, but they're just, there's something about being honest about what is the best thing for everyone in this scenario, and thinking about people as people on both sides, at clients and at internally. I said that 100 times in the podcast, like, marketers need to talk to people, and I think that's the thing that I'm excited to lean into. I don't know what that looks like or how that works yet. But I'm excited to dream about that a little more.
Mm.
What are you most excited about for retirement, Laura?
Not having to think about any of those things.
You've thought about them for a long, long
A long
time.
I
It's our
have.
turn.
I think it's like your dad used to say, "Been there, done that. Now you go there and do that."
Mm.
Good one.
Good one.
Good
Yeah.
MJism.
Good MJism. Yeah. I think it's really, really interesting because you two are at sort of about the age I was when Trek started. And I think that it's a great time because you have a lot of energy and patience that 30 years from now you may not have, and you might be looking at turning it over to your kids. But I think the timing is really good.
Mm. Well, that's another thing I'm excited about. I'm excited for our kids to grow up with Trek the same way we did.
Me too.
My kiddo talks about Trek, talks specifically about Mike. Kids love Mike.
They do.
But
Yeah.
yeah, talks about Trek in the office, loves to come to the office. So
Lily
I'm
refers to everyone as my work friends because at school, that instead of calling each other students or whatever, everyone is a friend. So
Mm.
she's like, "Are your friends like, so she's like, I want to go see your work friends."
Oh,
My friends.
I love it. So yeah, the chance for them to make some of those same memories. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about being back in Rockford a lot more too, because I love it.
Me too.
Go Rockford.
This year marks our 30th year in business. In this season of Sidetracked, we're gathering Trekkies at the bar to reminisce about our favorite moments from the last 3 decades. My favorite Trek memory has to do with a series of workshops that we ran in 2017 and 2018. It was at the beginning of when we were sort of honing our workshop model, which we started doing around that time to make the beginnings of client projects more interactive. So we came up with a discovery workshop and a brand workshop and a content marketing workshop. And the point was to take clients through these interactive activities that got them involved and thinking, and sort of made them co-creators of the work. And so when we were first honing this model, we offered a bunch of free workshops to the community, and we did a few at the Rockford office, and then I led one in Brooklyn. And at the time I was working in a co-working space, so I just opened it up to anyone in the co-working space, and we had 30 companies show up at this free workshop, and I took them through a bunch of activities to get them thinking about their buyer personas and their messaging, and everybody had a lot of fun. We hosted it in the co-working space, but at night after it was closed. And we had drinks and snacks, and then people ended up networking with each other. And we ended up actually getting a couple clients out of it, which we hadn't expected. We were mostly just kind of practicing the workshop model. But it's something that we still use to this day. And we even just did our own brand workshop on ourselves to mark our 30th year and continue the evolution of our brand.
That was fun.
It was fun.
What did you guys take away from the one that we just did? What was some of a good insight that you might have had, or how has it changed from when you were honing your craft until we had our most recent one?
We've added so many more activities because over the years we've thought of different activities and different ways to get people thinking or get at nebulous concepts through activities. And with our own brand workshop, I think the thing I took away from it is that we haven't really changed that much. Like the last time we did it was 8 years ago. And some things have changed and evolved, but for the most part, things have stayed fairly consistent at the core. And that's kind of good to know.
That's some brand consistency.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
They're always fun too. They're much more fun than just getting a questionnaire, compiling data from surveys and all of that, which is what the alternative to a workshop is.
And much more fun than a 4-hour Zoom meeting.
Cheers to 30 years.
Cheers,
Cheers.
to 30 years.
So this is the last episode of season 2 of Sidetracked. Season 3 will launch soon. Mom, will you come back and be our guest again during season 3?
I would love to. Thank you.
Thought you were going to say no. I'm so glad.
She thought about it.
Well, thanks for joining us for season 2 of Sidetracked. You can learn more about Trek at trek.com. That is TREKK.com.
And if you like this episode of Sidetracked, rate and review it, share it with a friend, and subscribe.
See you next time.
See you next time.